today, so we'll go ahead and get going, and I'm going to hand it over to Chantel.
Thank you. I appreciate the introduction. My name is Chantel. I am the account manager for Michigan for Becker. So I have all the schools and universities in our lovely state, including the UP. So while we're starting, I do invite everyone on the call today to go ahead and scan that QR code. Can you all see that screen? Okay, cool. So it's just going to ask for your name, a little bit of information about you, your email address. So as we go through the presentation today, I'm going to reference quite a lot of websites, resources, information about the 2024 and the 2025 testing calendar, in addition to more information about the disciplines and also the CPA exam candidate ebook. So all great information to have. This way you'll have it just in one email, and it'll also allow you to have my information digitally. So I'll give you a moment to do all of that. Take another sip of my Coke Zero here and we'll get started. So as we move through the presentation, if you all have any questions, please come off mute, raise your hand. Feel free to interrupt me. The presentation is for you all. I do talk quick, so I know that, so stop me at any time. And thank you again for being on camera. It is so nice. I am presenting from my home office today, so instead of looking out into outer space, which sometimes it feels like when you're presenting virtually, it's really nice that you are on camera, and I appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get started. I am working from home, like I said. So this is my son, Conyer Pippin. He is very little and very loud. So if you hear him, he is okay. He's just very jealous that I'm talking to you all and not him. So in one word, if you all were able to scan that QR code, we're kind of interactive, which is sort of fun. So tell me how you all feel about the CPA exam now. I know for a lot of candidates that I've been chatting with, when you think about the CPA exam and you're kind of like at the base of this mountain looking up to the top, right? And wondering like, how do I get from here to there? So today's presentation is to help you step by step. Hopefully you're not clueless after this one, but help you with the steps of one foot in front of the other. How do we tackle this mountain? How do we find our way through the CPA exam prep? How do you wrap your head around what you need and where to go in order to start that process? So hopefully by the end of this, you feel a little bit better. I can't make the exam easier for you, but we can, through preparation, pass it. So the first thing is we need to meet the educational requirements. So specifically in the state of Michigan, which is what I will be referencing today. And if you have questions regarding sitting in other states requirements or reciprocity, meaning if you take it all 4 of the exams and get your licensure in the state of Michigan, but say you want to move to California, what does that look like? What do you need? Because every state is different as far as their requirements. If I don't know the answer to that, I can link you up with the account manager in California or Florida or whatever state it is that you're interested in, to help you with that reciprocity process, which is not uncommon to do. So in the state of Michigan, going back to where we started, we need 120 credits to sit for the CPA exam. And it's a combination of business credits and accounting credits that you need for your bachelor's in order to start sitting. And those requirements can be found on NASBA's website, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. I do want to stress how much of a gift the 120 is for us in Michigan. There are still some states that will not let you sit until you have your 150 credit hours. To clarify, you'll still need 150 credit hours for licensure, but to start sitting for the exam, you can start doing that at 120. Why is that so important? You are used to a study, test kind of cadence, right? You're already in it with the classes and courses that you're taking now. Also, statistically, the earlier that you start sitting, the better your pass rates are. So it's very much in your favor to start sooner rather than later. And also the earlier that you start, the earlier you can be done, right? So my next question is, when do you all plan on beginning to study for the CPA exam? So this will let me know, yeah, oh, soon. Okay, cool. So good news coming for those of you that are testing this year moving into next year. As far as the testing calendar goes and score releases. So that's good too. So everyone's sitting pretty soon, within the next year, it looks like. Oh, some more than a year. Awesome. So like I said, we'll go over the 2024 testing calendar and the 2025, just so you can plan accordingly. This is where you will go to apply. So once you have the necessary credits that you need and your 120 credit hours, and I would like to mention that you can actually start sitting before your 120. You can start sitting 60 days prior to completion of your 120. You need a letter from your registrar's office that says, hey, I'm enrolled in these classes, pretty sure I'm gonna pass. I'd like to go ahead and start taking the CPA exam. You can do that. So just to give you an idea of NASBA's website, the National Association, the State Board of Accountancy is your first step in where you're going to go to set up your account. So you would do that in that little apply now button. Once you navigate through exams, CPA exams, scroll down and go to the state of Michigan, all of our requirements are here. This is only a screenshot to get you familiar with the web page itself, but there's a lot of great information on here, and it's not super easy to navigate, but it's easy enough to get through. So you would hit apply now, you would go to CPA portal, set up your username, your login. That will house your exam scores. It'll also give you a tally of where you are as far as in your journey of passing in time, as to not lose any scores. There's also a lot of great information here. So definitely check out this website if you have not already. And again, it'll be in that email that I send to you. This is also going to be where you will find where your transcripts from every college and or university that you've attended to reach your 120. The website will be, the email that you will have the registrar's office send your transcripts to will be housed in here as well. So remember, when you're filling out your application form, make sure your name equals what is on your ID. So you all are accounting students, you're used to detail, just carry that over with you in this application process. My name's Chantel. A lot of people call me Shan. If I put Shan on there and not Chantel, I would not be able to test. The money I paid to test would be donated back to NASBA, and I would lose all that time. So again, if your name's Jonathan, but you go by John, put Jonathan in there, make sure it matches up. Again, remember, all of your transcripts need to come directly from the registrar's office. They cannot come from you. And the main reason around that, quite easily, is fraud. So they want to make sure that you're not asking your neighbor to take your CPA exam for you. And they also want to ensure that you have the proper information in order to take the exam through your education evaluation, which is our next slide here. So I wanted to make you aware of some of the changes that have happened. I know that you all are aware of the CPA evolution that happened early this year. The test completely changed. And I know when we hear about change, we instantly have this knee-jerk reaction of, oh my goodness, no. But the changes that the AICPA has made, or the folks that write the exam, are very much in new candidates' favor. So they're very much in your favor. I'll bring up some of those really small changes that'll help you immensely, but I also wanted to show you some pricing and costing of what to expect. So when you send in your education application evaluation, this process is where they're going to ask for your transcripts. They need to come directly from the university or college that you attended to get to that 120. That application evaluation is $90, and that's for them to vet and know who you are, right? Make sure who you say you are is who you are. That process takes about 6 to 8 weeks. So after you are in NASBA's website, you hit that green apply button, you ask your registrar's office to send your transcripts, put a reminder in your phone. So you've done this education application. At the end of 8 weeks, you should have an email saying, yeah, you can go ahead and start applying for your notice to schedule, or no, you need more education. And then we can go from there. But put that reminder in your phone only because NASBA will not reach out to you. So if you've attended 3 colleges or universities to get to your 120, and they've only received 2 of those transcripts, your application will hang out in outer space. It is not NASBA's responsibility to reach out to you. It is your responsibility to reach out to them to see what they are missing so your application gets processed. You want to call and email them every day and be persistent. The greasy wheel, or the squeaky wheel gets the grease, I guess they say. So just make sure you are finding out what they need, as they will not be reaching out to you. And I did want to let you know the pricing for each exam. We know there's 4 exams total. They're all about $350 a piece. So there's a significant amount of money tied to the CPA exam that you'll need. So that's why we want to make sure you set yourself up for success moving forward. So then you're going to apply to take the CPA exam. You'll submit your application, and you do that through Prometric. So the exam, I'm not there yet. Sorry. So submit your application. That's your education evaluation and your notice to schedule. Then you're going to study for your exam. So you're going to choose your exam review provider. It is no secret I work for Becker. I think we have the best product out there. However, I do invite all of you to check out everybody's 2-week free trial period. I know we have it. I think the other folks have it as well. Get in there, create a username and password, and look at the actual material. Pick the review material that works best for your learning style. Not everyone learns the same. And at the end of the day, we want you to become CPAs. So take a look at all of them and pick the one that you like accordingly. I will let you all know that we do have a partnership with Walsh students for a discounted CPA and CMA program. So I wanted to give that to you as well, and I will send that out in that email with you, so you have the link to purchase your products at a discount. And then you're going to create your study plan and study. So this is one of the things that I want to talk about, creating your study plan. So we released a updated study plan that I think is really cool. We kind of took the guesswork out of it for you. So to give you an idea about what the review materials look like, this is what it'll look like when you go into your audit. You can see, cool, I have A1, A2. That just means audit unit 1, audit unit 2. But within each of these units, so within A1, there's 11 modules. So when you're wrapping your head around studying, it's going to depend on how much time you have to devote to your studies as to how quickly it goes, right? If you want to ballpark it, each unit takes around 10 to 15 hours of review. If you'll notice, you have mini exams in there within each module. You also have a series of questions, just so you're constantly testing yourself to ensure that you're learning and retaining new information. But going back to what I said before, if I look at unit 1 and I'm like, yeah, I have a week to do it, I don't need to start on Sunday. Maybe I'll start on Monday or Tuesday. Not necessarily the best way of thinking, only because there are different modules in that unit. So let me show you what that looks like. This is a little bit more about how you would set up your study planner, asking such questions as, when is your test? How do you study? Are you a person who needs to write down the material after you learn it? Or do you pick up material quickly and you move through things quickly? That's going to show you the study pace. There's also ways in which you can request different days off. If you want Sundays off, you can do that. You just need to make up for it during the week. Similarly, if you were studying and you're like, I want Thanksgiving off, or when the Lions go to the Super Bowl, maybe you want that day off. It just depends on you, how you want to work that, but that material or that functionality is available. Once you do that, you're going to get a study planner that looks similar to this. So it's going to tell you an audit. Remember, we have audit unit 1. We need to finish module 1, module 2, and module 3 starting on Tuesday based on when we said our exam was going to be. And what's cool about this is that you can see the amount of time designated to each day. So you'll see some days you might have an hour and a half, other days you might have 2 hours, 15 minutes. So you can really manage your day and manage your time with that. You can also change how you want to view this. This is my favorite view, but maybe you're just something different. You can change that. You can edit the plan. And the functionality is actually not on here now because this was when we first released it, but you can actually print this out. And I would recommend doing that. I enjoy making a list. I really enjoy crossing stuff off that list that I did. So you can do that through here as well and just have it updated. You can see your flashcards are in here, your practice tests, and these will change colors as you move through them. Similarly, if you are falling a little bit behind, it'll let you know, hey, you have to make up module 2 from Monday because you did not go through that material. So it's very good at keeping you honest and keeping you on schedule. If you notice that it defaults to a 7-day study cadence, you don't have to do that, but note that you will have to make up 2 hours and 15 minutes somewhere during the week if you do take Sundays off. When you're going through your material, a lot of folks will study daily. It's a very intense period, very much worth it, but then you're just studying a couple hours, maybe 2, 3, versus studying, 4 to 5 hours. Flip side of that is if you have a summer off and that's all you're doing, your 40 hours a week is review, you're going to be able to handle more and get through more tests in a smaller amount of time. So it just depends on the time you have, what you have on your plate, and how much you can devote honestly to studying. So you're going to schedule your exam. You'll receive your notice to schedule, and there's this is one of those changes that happen. So remember, you've already done your education evaluation. They've already vetted that you have the school requirements to sit. So then you just schedule, or you request your notice to schedule, and that comes in about a week. So it kind of flip-flopped before, when folks would think that my notice to schedule is going to take 6 to 8 weeks, but the education evaluation takes the 6 to 8 weeks. Notice to schedule comes a lot quicker because they've already vetted your information. After you receive that, you can go ahead now and schedule your exams. So you can schedule them at a Prometric testing center. Has anybody heard of Prometric? Nobody. Okay, cool. So Prometric is just a third-party testing center, and all they do is professional testing. They're proctored. So all sorts of tests take place at Prometric: CPA, CMA, real estate, some medical licenses will take place at Prometric. So they're located all over. You can take the exam in any state that you want. So once you log into Prometric, if you are vacationing in Tennessee, you can go ahead and take audit in Tennessee if you'd like when you're on vacation. That's up to you. The exam can be taken in any state or jurisdiction. Few things about Prometric. This is what their website looks like, just so you have an idea. And I'm reminding you, I will be sending you all of this as well. You will get into here, you will search CPA exam, pick the exam you want to take, and book it at the location that you wish. You want to do that about a month and a half in advance before you want to take your exam, only because there's other folks booking the exam at the same time. You want to ensure you get the time and the location that you want. Once you arrive to Prometric, you're going to be given a locker. That locker will house all of your belongings, including snacks. Remember, you're going to be there for 4 hours. Your phone, your watch, any personal items you might have on you will be provided for you in the locker. You will then go through almost like a TSA environment. So they're going to fingerprint you, they're going to wand wave you, they're going to take a photo of you. If you are wearing glasses, they're going to take those glasses and check them to make sure you don't have technology embedded in them to help you pass the exam. They want to make sure you're not bringing in anything that you shouldn't, but on the flip side of that, they want to make sure you're not bringing out anything you shouldn't, meaning they want to make sure you're not stealing test questions to then sell to other folks. So this is to keep a level playing field. The CPA exam is the third most secure exam that you can take. So that's why the proctors are there to watch you, and they might have you empty out your pockets, lift up your pant leg, all of those kind of things. They just want to make sure you are who you say you are and that you're not taking out any information that you shouldn't. Much to that point, when you are booking your exam, if there are things that you medically need to bring in with you, medication, syringes, anything like that, you can go ahead and fill out a request with Prometric, and they work pretty well with that sort of thing, especially if you have a medical reason for it. They will work with you on that. Do a test drive. So if you schedule audit on a Tuesday, go the Tuesday before and we're in Michigan, so know your construction, know your traffic patterns and traffic. only because you don't want to be late. So let's say you schedule that audit exam at 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning. You want to arrive at Prometric at 7:30 at the latest, maybe even 7:15. You have to get through the locker. You have to get through those TSA-like environments. Your time slot, so if you schedule audit at 8 a.m., you need to be sitting in your station ready to take the exam with the computer in front of you at 8 a.m. If you are not, you have just forfeited all of that money it took to book that exam, and you have now donated it back to NASBA. You will have to reschedule your exam, pay the fee to take the exam again. So err on the side of caution, get there early. If all of this adds even more anxiety for you, you can do a test drive with Prometric. So Prometric allows you to book, and I think it's like 25 or 30 bucks. You can do a test drive, meaning you can go there, someone will walk you through to your locker, they'll walk you through that TSA-like environment, they'll sit you down at your station, and then you can get up and go. That's up to you whether or not you take advantage of it. Some folks do, some folks don't, but that is available to you. When you are at Prometric, you want to print out, yes, I said print out on actual physical paper, your notice to schedule. Your notice to schedule will house a 7-digit number that's unique to you that you will need to input into your computer station when you are taking the CPA exam. Remember, you can't take a phone or a watch. So unless you've memorized the 7-digit code, print it out, have it handy. You're also going to want 2 forms of ID that'll come, and your notice to schedule will have all this information on it too. But 2 forms of ID that state who you are, again, making sure all the names match, everything is good, we are good to go. You are allowed to bring in a reusable water bottle with the label off. So like a little 16-ounce guy you can bring in with you. Quite honestly, you probably don't want more than that. Mind your bio breaks, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later too. Maybe you're going to be there for 4 hours, right? So keep that in mind. They will also provide you with either like a whiteboard and something to write on it with, or a piece of paper and a pencil, so you have scrap paper. That was a lot of information. Is there any questions on that? Okay, I will go. The other thing I do want to bring up is when you are scheduling your exam, you are now required to fill out an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. It was always already like embedded in the CPA exam. They just took it out, gave it more teeth. This change happened actually last year. So again, they just want to make sure that the exam is the same for everybody and that no one's stealing information or questions and selling them. So let's look at some things that haven't changed, okay? So we still have 4 exams. They're 4 hours apiece. They're broken down, as you see underneath an exam direction. So each exam is broken into like mini exams, what they're called testlets. So there's 5 testlets. The first 2 are multiple choice questions. The last 3 are task-based simulations. If you look, between testlet 3 and testlet 4, you get an off the clock break for 15 minutes. So we know you have 4 hours to take the exam. That 4 hours is now suspended for 15 minutes. You can get up, walk around, have a snack, use the restroom. But remember, you have to go back through that TSA-like environment. So get up, do whatever you need to, whatever you need to do, but then, you know, get back in a timely manner to ensure that you're not eating into your 4 hours. If we look, after you turn in each testlet, they are done. You cannot go back to each testlet, but you can technically take a break. So if you have an emergency that arises between testlet 1 and testlet 2, you are allowed to get up without forfeiting your exam. However, it will eat into your 4 hours. So you are allowed to get up. Just make sure it is an emergency. If you need it, it is there for you. And then looking on the left-hand side of the slide, you need a score of 75 to pass. So it's not a 75%. If you look down on the exam breakout, your multiple choice questions are going to be weighted a little bit less than your task-based simulations. Normally, our multiple choice questions are a little easier, right? Maybe they're a little bit more memorization, maybe a little bit application. Your task-based simulations are going to take you a while to work through. They do take longer. They are weighted heavily, or more heavy, I should say, than your multiple choice questions. We already stated before the exam can be taken in any state or jurisdiction. And you all now have 30 months to take all 4 of the exams. So this is another big change that happened. It is happening throughout the United States. It's just a matter of when. Some states are going to 36. It just depends. But your 30-month conveyor belt, if you want to think about it that way, starts when you receive your first exam scores. So another one of those little changes that's very much in your favor, it used to start when you sat for your first exam. So now it starts when you receive the scores from your first exam, so that gives you a little bit more wiggle room as far as time management goes. And if we take a look at that credit exam period, we've already passed the legislation and enacted it in the state of Michigan, so we are good to go. I do see everybody going to at least a 30-month rule. It's just a matter of getting it through legislation at the state level. But as of March 25th, and I do not have anything more updated from there, but it's always on NASBA's website if you want to check it out to see what other states are doing. And then I do want to show you an example of a multiple choice question. So, excuse me, this is pulled from our simulated exams we have at the end of every section. We have 2 of them for you to take, and they're meant to feel and look and behave just like the CPA exam. So we make it look like it, down to the font, down to the coloring, down to how the question is worded. So if we're looking at this, a few things I want to bring out to you guys. Your time remaining, this guy's going to start at 4 hours, right? Because we have 4 hours to complete the exam. But remember, we don't have a phone and we don't have a watch. So how do we keep track of time? Well, that's the only way you're really going to be able to keep track of time. So a couple of tips here. When we're looking at multiple choice questions, we see that we have around 30 of them in testlet number 1. Each multiple choice question should take you between a minute or 2 minutes to solve. Don't let that scare you. As you go through your review materials, you'll be doing multiple choice questions a lot. You'll be getting very efficient and effective in solving them. But use that 1 to 2 minutes to give yourself a timeline on your scrap piece of paper when you're in Prometric. So if we know we have around 30 questions and they're between a minute or 2 minutes to pass, I know by the time that clock is around 3:20, 3:15, 3:30, somewhere around there, I should be turning in testlet number 1 and moving on to testlet number 2. You want to stay with that cadence to ensure you have enough time to solve your task-based questions, your task-based simulations that are your last 3 testlets. As you can see in here, you are allowed to go through and flag the questions that maybe you want to go back to, so you can answer them in any order that you want, like any multiple choice question test. Answer the ones that come easy to you first and go back to the ones that maybe give you a little bit more difficulty. And the last thing I'll say about here is oftentimes the call of the question or what they're actually asking you for is going to be right above where the answers are. So instead of reading through all of this information, that some of which you need and some of which you don't, I would go ahead and read what they're actually asking you for, and then reading through the information to grab the numbers in order to solve the problem. If we take a look at a multiple choice question, it looks like this. You'll see that there's 3 of them in this testlet, as they do take longer to solve, about 15 to 20 minutes a piece. You are given all sorts of information to solve them. So if we see here, you're given an income statement, statement of cash flows. You are provided a calculator. This is also in the multiple choice questions. You have a calculator and an Excel button. This calculator is the full functionality of what you'll be allowed to use. So when you're going through your review, do not use a calculator with higher functionality. You're only doing yourself a disservice. And you will be given, it's not called Excel anymore, and it's not called spreadsheet. I believe it's called sheet in the CPA exam itself. However, it works and functions exactly like Excel does. So whichever tool you're most comfortable using, I know a lot of candidates like to use Excel so they can see their work, but that choice is completely up to you as to what you use. Your answers are going to be in these buttons here. So you would just click these, they open, and you'll be able to put a number in there to solve your problem. Any questions on those tests or the test questions? All right. One of the favorite things about the Becker material that I will just lightly go over is our skill builder videos. So remember, we were looking at those the units within each unit is a module. In each unit or in each module are a series of multiple choice questions and task-based simulations, just to make sure that you are going through and really harping on these questions to get your multiple choice question time down, and also so that you know how to tackle your task-based simulations. Our task-based simulations, when you're working through them within the modules, are going to ask that you go through and try to solve the question. You've just gone through the lecture. Go ahead and use that material to apply it to the question and answer it to the best of your ability. Once you do that, you can hit a button that's called explanation. It'll give you the answers. Great, awesome. You can compare and contrast how you're doing. If at that point you're just thinking to yourself, gosh, I have no idea like how we got from this question to that answer. There's a skill builder video that's built in here with like this old school like movie film, I guess. You can open that up and it's going to bring you to a video of a Becker instructor solving every single task-based simulation and multiple choice question that we have. You'll be able to hear them through audio, and then you'll visually see them write down their work. So you can see how an actual Becker instructor would break down this question. Again, that's available for every single task-based simulation and multiple choice question. Now, I bring this up because I know this would have been super helpful for me when I was in school. So I think it's a very, very, very good tool for you all to have. And then let's talk about the core sections. So the first one we're going to chat about is FAR. So this was the exam that invoked so much fear in candidates because, I mean, for good reason. It used to have, again, we'll go through these little changes that happened. It used to have the most content, which means it had the most review. It does have the lowest pass rate. However, what the change of CPA evolution has done is the AI CPA, or the folks that wrote the exam, have taken the more advanced questions that were once housed in FAR and moved them to the bar discipline. And we'll talk about the disciplines after we're done with the core. The core, meaning everyone has to take FAR, audit, and reg, have been streamlined a little bit. So the content is less. For instance, to get through our review materials alone for FAR used to be 11 sections of review. Now it's 6. So the content has very much streamlined. You still have government, non-for-profit. For those of you that are asking, it's not on here, but yes, it is still on FAR. You still need to have it in order to sit for the exam. When we're also looking at study time, I would err on the side of thinking it's going to take 100 to maybe 110 hours of review time. Only because it might take you longer, it might take you less, but I know for me, if I budgeted 100 hours and it only took me 95, I'd be really happy. If I budgeted 80 and it took me 95, I'd probably not be that happy. So wrap your head around it taking a little bit longer. And if it doesn't take you longer, that's awesome. Then you have more time. So if we look at audit and the changes to audit, there's just a little bit more of IT, Excel, data analytics woven into this exam, but not much has really changed as far as content, still 6 units of review. The other exam that's changed a lot is reg. So again, what the AI CPA did is they took the more advanced tax questions that were once housed in reg, and they moved them to the tax compliance and planning discipline. So instead of having 11, or this one was 10 units of review, still 6 hours of review, or 6 units of review. So FAR, audit, and reg have 6 units of review now within our material. So a little bit more streamlined. Still a lot of tax involved in reg, but again, those advanced questions have been moved to tax compliance and planning. If we take a peek at the disciplines, first one I'll bring your attention to is business analysis and reporting. So in addition to those more advanced FAR questions, a lot of the information and concepts that were in BEC have been diverted to this exam. So I'm sure you all have heard BEC's gone away. The test itself went away, but the material and the content was still important for you all to know. So it found its home at the business and analysis and reporting discipline. So remember, disciplines, you need to choose one. So choose the one that speaks the best for you at the time in which you're sitting. When looking at business analysis and reporting, you will see the review content is a little bit higher. So we're at 130 hours. The other disciplines do not have that long of a review. However, you've probably been exposed to the material and concepts in the bar discipline more frequently. than the other disciplines based on feedback we've received from candidates. But that is a personal choice and that is up to you. But I guess my point is as we're looking through the disciplines, do not choose based on review time alone. Don't let that be your guide. Let the concepts and material within each one really guide you as to which discipline you should take. And you'll see state and local government appears here as well. It's also on FAR. Information systems and controls is the newest kind of exam, if you will. So again, part of the disciplines, you have to choose one. If you are an IT person or information systems person, this is the exam for you, right? All of the information that you would expect to be on this exam is, including your SOC engagement. So you can take a peek at this. And remember, I will be sending you additional information on the disciplines. The final discipline is tax compliance and planning. So remember from Reg, the more advanced tax questions from Reg have been moved to tax compliance and planning. So in my experience, if you are tax and you love tax, this is the exam for you, and you can take it accordingly. Regardless of what discipline that you take, you'll still have that CPA at the end of your name. It's not going to say like CPA parentheses TCP. Like no one will know what discipline you take unless you tell them. So it's completely up to you what discipline you take, or if you want to tell people what discipline you take, it's still going to say CPA at the end of your name. And then the testing schedule. So now that you know how the disciplines were created, this kind of makes sense. Like you really don't even need this screen. So we know that business analysis and reporting was created mostly from taking questions from FAR in addition to BEC. So take that after you take FAR. So take it after you learn the building blocks from the bar exam. We do have FAR in front of everything. It's just a great way to start with your the basics of what you'll need to know and grow upon that. But you don't necessarily have to. But let's see, information systems and controls. We know audit has a lot of IT in it. Information systems and controls does. So just make sure it makes sense to take that after. Same thing with tax compliance and planning. We know that its building blocks are based in Reg. So take Reg first and then take TCP. On the flip side of that, if you all are in audit and you're thinking about sitting for your first CPA exam and you're in an audit class, take audit first. Like have it make sense for you. You don't have to take it in any specific order. This is just recommended. Now that you know how the disciplines were created, you can use that information and plan them accordingly. The timeline. Oh my goodness, for those of y'all that are testing this year, it's been a long time. For instance, the folks that tested on January 10th for FAR did not receive their exam scores back. They actually received them back on June 2nd, so it wasn't June 4th. But you'll see they waited a long time for their exams. I don't know about you all, but I don't have that kind of patience. So for those of you that are still testing this year, I would divert your eyes to here. So for your core exam dates, if you're currently sitting for one between now and December 26th, my advice to you would be take it closer to the December 26th, only because your exam scores are going to take until the end of February. Again, that's been asterisked, so they are allowed to change the exam release score dates. We were lucky in June for them to be released earlier. We've not seen that happen as it is now. Same thing for the disciplines. So for those of you all that are testing this year, this is what your calendar looks like. So where you see the lavender is when you are allowed to take the disciplines. Where you see the grayed out dates is when you are not allowed to take the core. So pretty much even this year and definitely next year, the core tests, so FAR, audit, and reg, you are able to take pretty much whenever you want them. And do note that Saturdays are open at Prometric if that makes it easier within your schedule. Moving forward is what we want to talk about. So this is going to clean up a little bit moving into 2025. So we have continuous testing in 2025, meaning there's no little random weeks in which you can't take FAR, audit, or reg. They did open up another week in order for you to take a discipline. So not rocket science on this, you all, but you do want to make sure when you're doing your review, especially for your disciplines, that you want your review to be fresh. You don't want to do all of this work in review and then have to wait a month to take the exam because information will start falling out of your head. So keep this in mind. I will send this to you. And in 2025, they are going to start releasing scores, the cadence that we were in 2023, meaning with any time between two weeks and 4 weeks, depending on when you sit. So it's a lot more candidate friendly moving into 2025. And those exam scores, I did provide a link for you all, only because they do like to change. So I will send that to you so that when you click on the link, you'll have the most up-to-date information and you're not referencing old information or old slides. And that is what I have for you all today. You can take a tree or the Callan tree or the tree if you want. We'll bring you to our 2-week testing or our 2-week free trial if you want to check that out. In addition to having all my information, email, phone number, I will be sending you out a follow-up email after this. Are there any questions on anything that we've went over yet today?
We'll give it a minute just in case anybody has any questions or thinks of anything. Just
I will. As you all are going through this process to have grace with yourself. So meaning tell those folks around you that support you that you are taking this very important exam to set you up for life. And to support you with that, you'll probably not be available to go out, but maybe your friends can bring you coffee or tea or whatever that is, your friends and family to support you. Similarly, burnout is real. There's a lot of, you are probably going to school, have a job, in addition to many other things going on, and we're asking you to carve out time for your review. So keep an eye out for those signs of burnout. Take a day off if you need it, take an hour off if you need it. Whatever that may be, take a walk outside to reset your mind. If you're reading a paragraph, and we've all done it when you're just like, I have no idea what I just read. That's burnout. Like, stop, take a moment, give yourself some grace. Make sure you are treating your body good. So the things that are going to help you are honestly sleeping and testing yourself as far as retaining information. Make sure you are hydrated. Make sure you're feeding your body and your brain to learn and retain that information, and pass the exam the first try. It is not uncommon to not pass on the first try. The statistic out there is it takes 6 exams to pass 4. So I do have even professors that I work with that have had to take the exam 1, 2, maybe 3 times in order to pass. Hopefully with our material, if you follow our kind of recipe for success, if you will, you'll be able to pass on the first try, but it is not uncommon to not do that. So if there are no other questions, I will leave you with my information in addition to sending that out to you this afternoon. And I
I had
look
a quick
forward to.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When can you start to get the 1,000 hours of experience?
You can start so the 1,000 hour, it's 2,000 hours of experience or
Oh,
1
2,000, yeah.
full work year. Yeah, 40 hours for 1 full year. You can start anytime. So any internship that you've done, any prior work experience you have with a CPA, there's material that needs to be filled out on Lara's website. So that's the licensing and regulatory affair website that we go to in Michigan for our CPA license. That information can be found there.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome. Anybody else?
Oh, I have a question in regard to the timing. So once you get the approval and then you schedule yourself in Prometric, if you decide possibly that you want to move it out, do you know how that works? Because I don't know what the timing is like.
Yeah, so on Prometric website, on their website, they give you a breakdown. So if it's 30 days prior to taking your exam and you're just like, I don't think I'm going to make it, I need to move it out. There's no problem. You're not losing any money that way. You're not paying any fee. You're good to go. It does kind of dwindle down as you get closer to your exam. I know that you will not get a refund 24 hours prior. But there is a breakdown on Prometric's website about how that works. But I know 30 days prior, you're in the clear, you can go ahead and move it.
So if you're approved, and I don't know if the state of California does it, or the state of Michigan does it differently than the state of California, but let's say I was only approved by the state to take it through November 2nd. So I can't reschedule past November 2nd then. How would I go back and change that? I have to just cancel out my appointment with Prometric and then go back and change
Are
it?
you referring to your notice to schedule?
Yes.
I think with that, you would apply for another notice to schedule and then just move it with that. So you can still move it forward.
So just apply for another notice to schedule?
Yeah. So your notice to schedule is good for 6 months. So you're going to have to reapply for it, and there's some fees associated with that, of course. But that process doesn't take long to get that back because they've already vetted your information. At the most, it takes a week. I've heard of some folks getting it within 24 hours.
Okay, so, but do I have to wait, like, say I'm good through November 2nd, do I have to wait past November 2nd to get?
To schedule it? No, you can go ahead and schedule it.
No, I mean to reapply for another notice to schedule that goes beyond November 2nd.
You'll have to, yeah, you'll have to reapply. I would reapply like a month before it's due to expire, just to make sure you don't have any like lag in that.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you everybody for your attention this afternoon. I really appreciate it. I will be sending out the follow-up email with everything that we talked about today, in addition to my my contact information. If you have questions moving forward or are unsure about anything, please let me know. I am local, happy to jump on a call or help or whatever it is that you may need.
Okay, thank you for presenting, Chantel, and thank you for everybody for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.